What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Check this out. My next guest, Dr. Justin Moseley, literally died. He's going to talk about it, share with us how that moment while he was underwater and the world went numb, lights went out, how that moment propelled him forward to greatness, how living his life at good was no longer going to be comfortable for him. He's going to walk us through his journey and hopefully change your life in the process. What's going on, Convicted Mindset fam? To everybody who is out there, I've got literally a guy who died, if you can imagine that. If that's not an intro, right, Justin?
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Man, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. I can't wait to step on stage with you here shortly. You're joining us from Nashville. And for those individuals that don't know Dr. Justin Moseley, give us a 10,000 foot view, would you please?
Yes, I'm a chiropractor by trade. My wife and I, we still own a chiropractic clinic outside of Nashville. And yeah, we started our practice in 2012 and then fast forward to 2018. Man, life was good. We had a great practice. We were helping the community, making money until I went on a men's retreat. And I actually we went whitewater rafting where I had a near-death accident, whitewater rafting, and it completely changed everything for me.
Wow.
And it was really my wake-up call, and it created a huge shift in my life that led to what I'm doing today.
It's incredible. So let's rewind. I talk about it all the time, like most people think good is okay, right? Good life, good wife, good income. You were checking all those boxes, right?
Yeah, man, life was good. I was living my purpose. I was here to help people and make a difference. And because of that, I thought, hey, this is it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing
Yep.
until something like a near-death accident hit. And most people think I have to have something to wake me up,
Yeah.
whether it's a rock bottom moment, people go, their marriage falls apart. They actually hit rock bottom before they change. But no, I'm here to give people a wake-up call. Like, you don't have to have one of those moments. You can wake yourself up and make a change now.
No, 1000%. So individuals, so you talk about zones. And so I want to walk people through because everybody's going, there's no way this guy actually died, right? So walk us through that August 2018. It was 2018, correct?
Yeah, 2018. So whitewater rafting, and we hit the class 5 rapids. And I was sitting in the back of the raft, and the raft flipped backwards, and I got trapped underneath the rapid itself.
Wow.
So it kept pushing me underwater. And the last thing I remember thinking was, I'm not coming back up.
Oof.
And then everything just went black, and then everything went bright white. And it was the most peaceful, serene feeling I'd ever felt. And then I don't know how long that lasted. I'm sure it was just seconds, but it seemed like an eternity. And then I hear a voice that said, wake up. And thankfully I did, because I came back to consciousness and I was trapped underwater, wedged between two rocks. And I tried to push and I didn't budge. And I kept pushing. Thankfully, my adrenaline kicked in. Like, if anybody's been able to held underwater a little bit too long, you know that feeling, like it's go time. And I was able to push hard enough. I broke the buckle on my life jacket that was stuck underneath one of the rocks, and floated to the top, gasping for breath, and then got swept down the river. And yeah, man, I was rocked. It was one of those moments like, what just happened?
Man. So you kind of at that point reevaluate.
Yeah, because we all question, why am I here? Like, what's my purpose in life? But when I went through that, I asked a new question. I was like, why am I still here?
Yeah.
Because things could have been different. Like, what if I didn't hear wake up? Or what if I wouldn't have been strong enough to push free? So I knew that, man, why am I still here? I'm here for a purpose that's bigger than what I've been living.
Yeah. Have you ever heard that voice again or prior to that wake up moment?
No, not like that. And it wasn't like it was this audible voice. It was just like this knowing inside, just this feeling that was just like, you need to move. And yeah, it's hard to describe.
That's unbelievable. And so here you are, right? So from 2018 to now, obviously you've done a ton. I mean, right? You've been featured, you're coaching individuals around the country. So, and the TED Talk, which we'll get to, which is just freaking fantastic for everybody who's listening, and we'll link that as well so everyone can see it. But so you come up, and it wasn't like you jump out of the river and you go, okay, I'm not going to be a chiropractor anymore, right?
Right. Yeah. So then I just stepped back and I was like, okay, why am I still here? I know I'm supposed to do something bigger, but I didn't know what that looked like. So I was processing that for a little while. And then finally I stepped back and I was like, if I could just do something that brings me joy and helps a ton of people, what would I do? And I was like, well, honestly, I would put out content on mindset and personal growth and development, because I read my first Tony Robbins book when I was 16, Awaken the Giant Within. I actually still have the copy right here. And that turned me on to personal growth, and that you can change your mind and you can change your life.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put out stuff that helped people. But honestly, I was like, I don't even know if anybody's going to listen. I'm just going to start putting this out there. And I started a Facebook group in 2019, and it quickly grew to 1,000 people in the first month.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, people are listening, and people just kept coming back for more. I was interviewing people, I was doing weekly lives, and people just wanted more. So that led to, I started doing mastermind retreats and doing coaching, and really just, I think because I followed the path of what I was truly called to do, the doors just kept opening up for me.
When you started that Facebook group, did you ever feel like you had that imposter syndrome that people talk about? No one's going to watch this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it was. It was like, and I help people overcome that too. So I know it's when you feel that, you're making it about yourself. And that's really what it is. A lot of people, we feel that fear because it's about us. But when you really make it about, what about that person on the other end? They could hear this and it can make a difference in their lives. So that's number one, we make it about us. But then number two is we make it, oh, it's insignificant. Well, if I didn't get 20,000 people to follow me or like this post or whatever it is, then, oh, it wasn't worth it. Well, what about the one person who actually heard it and made a shift in their life? Like, that's what we have to focus on, the actual significance and the impact that we're making.
That's the truth. And so you're going around the country making the impact. Who primarily reaches out to you? If folks are listening to this right now, you know, the mindset doctor, mindset coach, you put out a bunch of content. How do people get in touch with you, and how would you help them? What type of things would they come to you for as a quote unquote doctor?
Yeah, well, definitely. Anybody who just wants to connect me with me on Instagram at Dr. Justin Moseley. But really, I love helping people that have had success in business, but then they just got stuck. And maybe it was, stuck is the biggest thing, because it's like, stuck is, it comes in different ways. Like, some people financially plateau, but then other people, their finances are great, but then their marriage falls apart, or their kids hate them. Like the family life isn't there. And I had a client recently, he's like, why can't I have it all?
Ooh.
And I was like, well, you can have it all if it's structured correctly. And we start to build your life around your dreams. And the reality is, people stop dreaming. They start settling for what they think they can accomplish versus actually dreaming. Like, when we were kids, we thought like we could be whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
Because somewhere along the way, we got told no enough to be like, maybe I can never achieve that. I'm just going to settle for this.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is help people set those big goals and help them actually achieve those.
Uncomfortable goals.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And those actually get us excited again too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it's all about.
They do. You know, when you start, I've got a 15-month-old little girl. We've got 4, but our youngest is 15 months old. And so, you know, when she starts to walk, it's like you root her on when she falls. You pick her back up when she falls. And it just becomes, nobody goes, that whole walking thing just isn't for me.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think you should just, give up on that. It's never going to happen.
Right. But there's like a point in time, and I'm not sure if it's because the further we get into social media or the older we get, but there's a point where like failure becomes this terrible, terrible thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We just start to think that, well, I should never do that again. And case in point, because I got to speak on the TEDx stage.
Yeah.
But for me, it was deeper than that, because I had a severe fear of public speaking.
Did you really?
Yeah. I almost failed a college speech class because I almost had a panic attack during the speech.
Wow.
I still remember I was shaking, my voice was shaking, hands were shaking. I barely made it through. And that created a story in my head. You should never speak again. This is not for you. And I bought into that story for a little while. Okay. But then I knew that there was a calling, like, I'm here to make an impact in people's lives. And if I truly want to step into that calling, I have to overcome this fear.
Yeah.
So for me, speaking on TEDx was a testament to somebody overcoming the fear and actually sticking with it. Where most people, they started to believe the stories and say, you know what, this is what I have to settle for. But you don't. It's a story, and you can change your story. When you change your story, you change your life.
I love that. I love that. You control the pen, right? You hold that pen, and and you control that narrative. So these individuals that are stuck, that's got to be the biggest word I hear. I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, right? Mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, sexually, all the above, right?
Yeah,
I'm stuck.
absolutely.
So what's the blueprint? What's the blueprint? Someone's listening to this right now and they go, golly, Justin, everything that you talked about, I may have hit rock bottom. My life maybe did fall apart. How do I get back on that path to find what my purpose is?
Yeah. Number one, I'd say you got to get clarity in figuring out what you really want. And what I find, you probably find it too, when you ask people what they want, they don't know.
They don't
They
have
tell
a
you all the
clue.
things they don't want,
Yep.
but not really clear on what they want. So I think the clarity is power, like getting that first, and you can actually set a plan for bigger goals, bigger vision. But then it really comes with the certainty. Certainty and confidence kind of go hand in hand of believing. And that's where I love the mindset stuff of it. I work a lot with the subconscious mind because that's where our programming is,
Yeah.
which that's our beliefs. So helping overcome some of those old stories that are stuck that keep us from actually thinking, you know what, I can do this. And again, one of my biggest influences, Tony Robbins. So I love how he talks about overcoming and actually gaining the certainty, because we all have potential, but we only show up with a certain level of potential. And then we get a certain level of results because of the action that we took. So if we keep getting just mediocre results, we show up with mediocre potential. But if we go out there and we take great action and we get a great result, then we show up even better the next time. So if that's true, I like to add in, yes, you can have experiences and get better and get better and get better. And over time, it's linear. You show up with more potential.
Yeah.
Well, I like to shortcut that by using visualization, because the mind can't tell the difference between a real event and one that's vividly imagined. So if you want to overcome your fear of speaking, yes, you should get out there and start speaking and start getting some wins. But first, do it in your mind. Start visualizing it, visualizing yourself on stage. Model somebody. Tony Robbins, he's all about modeling. So I was like, well, how does he use his body? How does he use his language, his energy when he's on stage? How can I incorporate that when I'm on stage? So it's like model other people and visualize yourself doing it, and you'll get better and better without even actually having to physically do it.
I love that. You talk a lot about the subconscious mind part of it. It's something that I'm like fascinated with. I think, like the the reticular activating system.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like I love that stuff. You purchase a red Nissan Sentra and all of a sudden they're all over the road. You see them, right?
Yep, exactly.
And so,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's exactly what happened. I bought a Jeep like a year ago, and I wasn't even thinking about buying one. I've had a couple in the past, but as soon as I decided I want to get one, I started seeing them everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Power of a reticular activating system.
And so talk these people through that. You and I know the RAS, we can throw these acronyms around, but I've heard it's something like 90% of all the thoughts on a daily basis are basically from the day before.
Yes. Yeah. And everything's pretty much filtered out. That's what the reticular activating system, for you guys listening, the RAS is the filter that shows you what's important. What should you focus on? It's like right now when I'm talking, you're not thinking about what's going on in your right foot. If I said, think about your right foot, then you're like, oh yeah, I can feel it. I can wiggle my toes. I can actually focus on it. So same thing when we have a thought, if I want to think about a new car, I want to buy this new white Mercedes SUV, then all of a sudden you start driving around, you start seeing white Mercedes SUVs everywhere. They were always there, but it wasn't until we told our mind to actually focus on it that it actually did it. Now there's two sides to look at. The RAS that's just short-term thinking. So that's like, if you want to focus on something, you can start seeing it. The long-term programming with RAS, that's when you program the subconscious mind. And in that way, it's like autopilot. If you're in an autopilot on a boat and you set it for north, and then all of a sudden you crank the wheel and start going east, as soon as you let go of the wheel, the boat will start going back north. Well, what we want to do is turn the wheel and actually reset the autopilot to go the direction we want to go. So that's the problem, is most of our autopilot has been set from the conditioning we've had in the past. Our autopilot's set in the wrong direction. It's set to get the same results over and over. So if we want to get a new result, we got to reset the autopilot.
Man, I love everything about that. And so someone says to you, all right, so I found my purpose, but I'm scared. Let's be honest. I got a bunch of fear.
Yeah.
I can't leave my job, or my girlfriend's going to make fun of me, or right. That fear.
Yeah.
How do I handle that, Justin?
Absolutely. And the easiest, but the hardest thing, because it is a simple thing and it separates a lot of people that are successful that aren't, because they feel the fear and they do it anyway.
Mm,
Because that's the reality. A lot of people think like I'm the only one that feels this.
yeah.
No, there's people at all levels. And I'm sure you have great examples of this, of like people that you meet at any level. They have their fears, they have their worries, their doubts, their limiting beliefs,
Yep.
but they're able to overcome them faster. They're
Yes.
able to process those. And that's where coaching comes in, where you can actually help people process, okay, where does this fear come from? What does this really mean? And why are you letting this hold you back? And then you can actually see a different perspective. What's the fear of, if I don't do this, what happens?
Yeah.
But what are you keeping yourself from if you don't do this? What's
Oh,
the upside if you actually moved forward? Yeah, you might get rejected. Like, and I like looking like this. If somebody wants to ask a woman out on a date and she says no, well, you didn't lose anything. You weren't going out on a date with her before, but we take that as such rejection. And all of a sudden, oh, we start making these stories like, I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, whatever the stories are,
yeah.
versus, you know what, she said no, but this next one, she might say yes. And there's always that upside of, if you actually get over the fear and making it about you and just keep going, keep
Yeah.
making that next ask, because that's where the success is. It's on the other side of your fear.
The other side of your fear. Man, I love that. And the adversity that really is the process. I think that, social media perhaps, or just kind of the way that kids seem to be raised these days, the process is no longer like relished, like the knit, the grit, the grind, right? Like the difficulty of life that really helps you celebrate the successes. So many
Yeah.
of us are just looking for the quick fix,
Right. Yeah. And part of that is social media is you just see the highlight reel.
the
Like
highlight.
you're comparing your behind the scenes to somebody else's highlight reel. So first off, just be aware of that. Like everything you're seeing them post about and, oh, they're on vacation and doing these things, that's not their real life. They're really facing challenges and all the things that are going on for everyone. So one, realizing you're not alone. If you
Yeah.
have fears and doubts and challenges, I mean, Tony Robbins is like, the only people that don't have challenges is the people that are dead. And it's like, the more successful you get, the more problems you're going to have. You're just more equipped to actually handle them.
Yeah.
So knowing that, hey, you're not alone in this, and then stop comparing your behind the scenes to other people's highlight reels. I think that's one of the biggest problems with social media. We keep that comparison game going. If I'm not where they are, so I'm going to feel bad about myself. I know if you can just show up each day, like you have certain gifts and talents and abilities, and if you can use those to impact somebody else, that's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about for sure. I found out, there's a lot of buzzwords in society, like anxiety and depression. And I have found that when you are in the service of other people, that those buzzwords diminish greatly.
Absolutely. Yeah. The fear disappears when the mission to serve is clear. So it's like, man, when the fear disappears, when the mission to serve is clear, and you just make it about my level of service, takes the fear out of it, because it's no longer about me. It's that person that we're here to serve.
That's amazing. So let's talk about the impact zone. So you say to yourself, I want to make an impact. What is the impact zone that you talk about, and how do we get people there?
Yeah. So I think that's the ultimate zone we try to get through. So yeah, we got to work through our levels. We got to step out of our comfort zone. We got to go through the growth zone, the fear zone, all those zones that come up to ultimately, yes, we got to take care of ourselves. We got bills to pay. We got a family to take care of. But then what is the bigger impact you can make?
Yeah.
I think that's where life gets to be fun and gets to be on autopilot in the right direction, because you get to live life in a way that is at service to others, and I see this kind of backwards too. I want to serve others at my own detriment. Like I'll do so much for other people where I actually get ran over. And no, that's not the case. It's you are in your own power and you are living life to the fullest. And out of that full expression, you get to impact others with your life.
Man, that's beautiful. And so your impact zone, you talk about dreaming big, you talk about making a world. Share with the folks, like, what are some big goals that you have, or that your family has, that are uncomfortable?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, TEDx, that was an
Yeah.
uncomfortable goal. That was a bucket list thing for me. And it
Good.
was always a one day thing. Eventually I would want to do that. But it doesn't have to be one day. Like, that's my encouragement to somebody. You can make that happen now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I actually said, you know what, I want to make this a goal and I want to accomplish it. Otherwise, it would have stayed on my list of one day. Yeah. And next year, it would have been on that list one day. So I want to encourage people, get stuff off of your one day list and actually look at, if I wanted to make this happen, how could I do it? Mm-hmm. Because there is a way. There is, if you stay, keep it about the impact and keep showing up every day. I think one is people, they give up way too easy. So, but you got to show up every single day, here to serve people, make a difference, and you can make your goals happen if you get focused on it. Though people don't, they lose the focus and they think, oh, this goal is just way too far and I'm just going to give up. But man, just sometimes it's just, you're this close. There's that story, 3 feet from goal. Like, the guy was digging and he gave up and he was only 3 feet. If he would have kept digging 3 more feet, he would have hit the gold. And I think so many people do that. They just give up way too soon. So just keep going. So yeah, TEDx was one of those goals for me. And now it's going to be writing books and doing bigger speaking engagements and doing events that actually help bring more impact to people.
That's the goal, man. I love everything about that. How do folks get in touch with you if they want to work with you one-on-one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Feel free to message me on Instagram. I answer all my DMs. So I love connecting people there at Dr. Justin Moseley. Website, drjustinmoseley.com. And feel free to email me, drjustin@drjustinmoseley.com. And yeah, my website, I got free resources too. And there's one, you go to drjustinmoseley.com/baseball. There's a baseball technique that I use to help prime people's reticular activating system to manifest things quicker into their lives. So it's a free resource that people can have.
So for the folks that may not be able to download that, walk them through that drill real quick.
Yeah. So I used to have my baseball. It's over there. Well, so the simplified version of it is, so what you focus on expands. Okay. So what I want you to do every single night for the next 3 days, I want you to go to sleep imagining a baseball. And I want you to feel the leather, just imagining it. What would the leather feel like? What would the stitches feel like? You see the red, you see the white of the baseball. Maybe it's dirty. Maybe it has dirt on it. What does the writing on it say? And get really intimate with it. Because people with visualization, this is all about strengthening the visualization. So you want to visualize it, but then you want to really feel it. Feel what it feels like. Feel the weight of it. And the more you do this, you prime your nervous system to actually find a baseball throughout the day. So get really intimate 3 nights in a row, fall asleep thinking about a baseball. But then as you go through your day, I don't want you thinking about a baseball. Don't go like, oh, I have one in my garage, I'm going to go find it. I want you to just go about your day. And what you'll see is you've primed your reticular activating system. Baseballs will start showing up. And I've had so many crazy stories of all of a sudden, all these baseballs, I'm seeing a baseball here, I'm seeing a baseball there. So try it. And the reality is, in the simplicity is to show you, if you can manifest a baseball like that, what else can you manifest? So definitely want you to give it a try and then let me know how that goes.
Man, that's a beautiful takeaway. I appreciate you sharing that with the folks. Honestly, you're a world-class human. I'm glad that you had the class 5 rapid story.
I know, right?
Right? Yeah. You know, it really is. You couldn't have scripted it. You probably would have just been super content, living the dream, so to speak, adjusting folks for the rest of your life.
Yep. Yeah. And things could have been good, but yeah, I wouldn't have been able to making the impact I am today had I not gone through that.
The tough times.
Yeah.
Yeah, the near-death experiences. Brother, I can't thank you enough for sharing it with us. I know that people are going to be impacted and hopefully lives will be changed and hearts will be softened, and hopefully folks will reach out to you and you can help convince them further to change that mindset.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.
I appreciate your time, brother. We'll be in touch soon and we'll be on stage soon.
Absolutely. That's right.
All right. Have an awesome day.
You too, man.